And we're videoing.
Running an overhead on a 71 Allis Chalmers 180 301 engine. Remove the valve cover here and put her up on PDC a number 1 cylinder and adjust the valves.
Alright, so this machine has 4,100 hours on it, and from the looks of it, I would say it has never had an overhead done on it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, but we're breaking the paint on the bolts here. So I think it's probably the first time this valve cover's been on. It was a little bit of a mess, some oil in the engine, but we got it all washed off. Oh, she's kind of a mess. That dude's been ran cold a lot.
Well, previous owner did feed hay with this tractor, so
Looks like we got a little cleaning up to do before we go on.
right there we are at 28 degrees before top dead center. Come over to the pump, look in the window on the pump, and see that it is just a little bit out of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these two nuts here loose and rotate that pump around and line those two marks up so that it'll be timed to 28 degrees before top dead center. And that should make it start real good in the cold.
You ready?
Yep.
Start talking. Say, Dad,
as you can see, we're rotating the pump just to line them up.
They lined up.
They look pretty close to me. And now he's going to go around.
Gonna be perfect is what they got to be.
Hold it, and he's going to go tighten them back up. Now usually you got to hold the pump where you want it when you're tightening it back up, but otherwise your injection lines will want to pull it back to where it was before. There we are, still on 28 degrees. Now that we got the pump tightened back up, you can look in the window and see that The lines are lined up right, and it is now in time. So, yeah.
All right, we're setting the valves, intake and exhaust both set the same on this 301 Allis engine. Hot spec is 15 thousandths, cold spec is 17 thousandths. We're doing the engine cold. Kind of just a trial and error getting there. The adjusting nut's just a friction nut, and so it's not one that you can take loose and feel. So you just kind of have to bump them around and get it where it feels good. And it's a feel thing. Adjusting valves is totally something that's experience. And you can go by just feel the feeler gauge between the valve head and the rocker arm. It's just totally experience and feel. The feel that I go for is just a slight drag on the feeler gauge as you come out, and if you're on that slight drag, you're going to be there. Now I would say, I didn't check them, but I'd say these are, I'd say they're probably around 21 thousandths right now. So anyway, that's number one done. We're doing the valves on a companion cylinder. And what that means is it will turn the engine 6 times to adjust 6 cylinders of valves. We will put the valve, or put the piston up on TDC of the valves that we will be setting, and that way that the engine can run at its most optimum and smoothest setting. You can do them in 2 turns. I'm pickier than that. You can do it like the book says. Most books will say you can turn it on TDC at number 1 or TDC at number 6, and then they'll tell you which ones to adjust with it. My thing is yes, it's within spec. No, it's not close enough for me. I like things to run smooth and quiet. And if you do them on a companion cylinder, the tractor will run like a sewing machine. Runs really nice and smooth. Otherwise, they're a little clattery, and I don't like that. So we got number 1 adjusted. We're going to grab a wrench. We're going to roll that thing around. And on a companion cylinder, our firing order is 153624. And so what we're going to do now, I've got her rocking on number 6, so I did number 1 cylinder. Our next one in firing order will be number 5, and our companion cylinder number 5 is number 2. So the way you can kind of tell what that is you can look over here at the cylinder, and you'll see that our exhaust valve is partially compressed right now. And what we'll do is we'll turn that engine in the direction of rotation until we see the intake valve just start to move. You'll see the exhaust valve going closed, coming up, and you'll see the intake valve just start to go down, and that'll be TDC of that number 5 cylinder, top dead center of compression stroke. So then we'll move down to the number 5 cylinder and we'll adjust it. Here in a little bit I'll show you how to determine what, on any even number cylinder engine, how you determine what your companion cylinder is. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and rotate this engine. We're going to be watching number 2, like I said a little bit ago, and that'll put us on TDC at number 5. So here we go. Now if you want to watch that, I'll roll that engine. This particular engine's a little easier to reach the front crank bolt from the left-hand side of the tractor. So that just makes it easier to turn, so that's where I'm at. Okay, so there we go. You see that exhaust valve's all the way down. And now we're coming back closed. Okay, now we're going to just barely move him around. We're almost there. I can feel it. And we're going to just start to move that intake valve right there. I don't know if you caught it, but if you go to shake them, you'll see that both of them are tight.
You can see in the video.
Okay, that they're not moving. If we come back down to our number 5 cylinder, you'll see that they're both loose. Okay, that means we're ready to adjust that cylinder. We are on top dead cylinder of number 5. Okay, so we'll come around, we'll adjust that one.
I'm going to try to stay right over here if I can get it.
Okay, here we are in number 5. Got my 17 thousandths. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. And it got me a nice long boxed in wrench here so that we can tighten that up. I think I like to pull rather than push. Doesn't get knuckles as bad. A little loose yet. Now that one's just a hair tight. Like that much better. A little bit of restriction as it comes out. As you can see, that one I can shake it up and down, no restriction. So we'll come around here and we'll bump her up a little. And friction nuts can be kind of hard to turn sometimes. They're usually pretty tight. There we are. Okay, 17 thousandths, intake and exhaust. I'll take that in just a hair more. All right, I like that. Okay, there's number 2 done. Now we'll roll her around and we'll do, let's see, we'll adjust number 4 and we'll watch we'll adjust number 3, I'm sorry, and we'll watch number 4. Okay, rolling the engine around, let's get number 3 on TDC, so we'll roll number 4. You'll see that exhaust valve just started to move. Here she comes. And you'll just roll her until you just see the intake start to move. Might be a little hard to see in the video, but see how we're still loose right there? There she is, tight and tight. Okay, that puts number 3 on TDC. They'll both be loose. Okay? Okay, we're getting valves adjusted on number 3 now. There it is. Now this one here is really loose yet. Okay, I like both of those. As you can see, when I was trying to tighten that one, that I'd rock the valve over. No big deal, piston's right up there at the top. You hit the top of the piston pretty quick, and it will hold it so that you can go ahead and move the nut, or the adjuster in this case. So it doesn't hurt a bit if you rock the rocker arm a little bit and push the valve, just as long as you let off of it before you feel how it feels. So there you go. You see that you can probably hear that it's a little bit tighter than what it was. So it doesn't clatter quite as loud there. All right. So we'll move on to the second half of the engine. Okay, we're going to show you how to figure out what your companion cylinders are. Like I said, on any even number of cylinders engine, you can figure a companion cylinder real easy. And you can use this rocking the valves method. Okay, so we got a 6-cylinder engine. Firing order of a 6-cylinder engine on an inline 6 is always going to be 15, 36, 24. 15 too young, 36 too old, 24 just right. All right, that's kind of a little rhyme that my instructor taught me way back in the old days. Anyway, so here's what we do. We'll take our firing order and cut it in half. So we cut it, half of the engine is right there, okay? So that we have 153, 624. So what we'll do is we'll take the top half and put the lower half of the numbers right below it. 6, 2, 4. Companion cylinder for number 1 is 6, 5 is 2, and 3 is 4. That's always going to be the firing order on a inline 6-cylinder engine. Okay, we can do the same thing with a V8. So, I'm a Chevy guy. I know Chevy engines pretty well. So our firing order is 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. So, same thing. Chevy V8. Chevy V8, companion cylinder 1 and 6, 8 and 5, 4 and 7, 3 and 2. And vice versa on the second half of the engine. You'd rock number 1 for 6, rock number 8 for 5, rock number 4 for 7, and rock number 3 for 2. And then you can have the valves adjusted just perfect. So, works both ways, 6-cylinder, V8, V12, V4, V2, V24. It doesn't matter as long as it's an even number of cylinders, this method will work.
We went ahead and rolled around a TDC of 6 off video and adjusted 6 off video. So I'm going to show off the feeler gauge here. You can see that's just perfect. Go ahead and stick it in on this other one and see that. And that's just perfect. As you can see, as I pull the feeler gauge out, it just barely wipes the oil off that was on it. And that's a good indication, visual indication, that you've got that just about perfect on that gauge. And that's got just about right there. Alright, so I came around to number 2. That's my next one in there. And as you can see, it's, yeah, that one's about right. That's a little bit snug, but that's good enough on that one. And like I said, just a hair snug, but you can see on the gauge it is wiping the oil off of it. It's pretty good. Alright, Dad's going to loosen it up a little bit, and I'm going to feel again here. Well, I'm feeling left-handed, so it's a little funky. That's just about right. As you can see, that was a little bit easier, and that's just barely wiping the oil off and smearing it around. So that is a good visual indication on your feeler gauge if you're like me and not as confident in how well you feel it, unlike Dad is, where he's been doing this for 34 years. That's a good way you can visually see as well that you have it in spec and right. Alright, so here we got number 4 done, and you can see on the feeler gauge that's pretty good. Just bring that up now, that just barely wipes it off. So that's pretty good. And I'll come around in here to the exhaust port. It's at 17 thousandths as well. And, well, a little bit hard to video and do this at the same time. Let me swap hands and there you go. You can see that that's just perfect. So this engine should run real smooth once we put her back together and figure out and run it. It should just run perfect. That is all 6 done now. And good.